chairman of this body, and it's a delight to be here today and to see you all. Just for clarification, this is the AGM of the Visit Exmoor membership organisation. I'm sure you'll all have seen and heard and been involved in the decision made a year ago to form a community interest company, and the transition from a membership body into the community interest company inevitably takes a little bit of time, and we're working with legal advisors and so on to make sure that we follow all due processes. So that will be communicated in the fullness of time, but at present this is the membership body and this is the AGM. And if I may, I'd like to just kick off by thanking everyone who have done such an extraordinarily good job in very difficult times over the last year and more. Our board members, Emma, Hayley, Max, Deborah, Hugh and Catherine, overseeing committee of Nikki, Dan James, Marcus Gravis, Evelyn Stacey, April Brond, Dominique Dunbrook, and also, of course, the team who've actually been delivering so much on behalf of members. Kelly on the website, Aisha, our new marketing team member, Max as well here, Mike on memberships, and Wendy on accounts. Huge thanks to you all, particularly in this virtual world we've been living in. It can be hard to see and appreciate just how much work goes into absolutely everything. So on behalf of everyone, a very, very big thank you from me. And at that point, we need to get through some formalities. So if I can turn to Max to let us know of any apologies, please.
We've had apologies from April and Marcus.
Okay, 2 sets of apologies. Item 3 on the agenda, and I'm hoping everyone has a copy of the agenda, is to receive and approve the minutes of last year's AGM. That's already been circulated. We haven't had any questions, so, and most of the items are covered on today's agenda anyway. So unless there are any pressing issues, I propose that we move straight to ask who would like to propose and who would like to second agreement of last year's minutes. Any offers?
I'll propose.
Emma has put a hand up, and Hayley has put a hand up. So proposed Emma, seconded Hayley. Don't think we need to have a vote unless anyone constitutionally tells me otherwise. So I propose that those are passed and they can be signed as a true record. And at that point, I think we can move on to some of the more interesting reports and less of the formalities of today. We have scheduled a question and answer session at the end. So rather than take questions as we go through, if you could maybe make notes of any questions you have and ask them at the end, that would be absolutely fabulous. Which means we can go straight into Visit Exmoor achievements and priorities over the last year, which I understand is going to be a video, which Emma is going to, or Max are going to control. So we can go straight into that video, please.
Can everyone see this?
Yes.
Sorry, Robin, can you hear it?
I can now. was a very impressive run through, a lot of achievements. Emma, I think you will add some commentary to that.
Yes, no, I will do. Can everyone now see my screen? That was seamless, Max. Well done. So, good afternoon, everyone. For anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Emma Thomason and I'm the Chief Executive of Visit Exmoor. Um, that was a fabulous whistle-stop tour through the last year, and we found over the last couple of years, kind of presenting the year in summary has become more and more necessary through that kind of video format, just because we've got quite a lot of ground to cover. Um, I think just looking back over the last the last year or so, it's been quite an extraordinary year again for everybody. We've had the continued impacts of the pandemic, and the second half of 2021 saw us in and out of lockdowns. And I think every single one of our businesses have been in some way impacted by some of the outcomes from the pandemic, the recruitment crisis, and financial pressures, which I know are still challenging our businesses today. And we also know that the result of that for many of our businesses has been in some way a changed offering, changed opening, dealing with some of those challenges. And it's been really rough. So with that said, I think as an area we should all be really, really proud that we've continued to deliver unique and wonderful visitor experiences. I don't want to steal too much of Dan's thunder, because Dan's going to give us an update from the park a little bit later. But the visitor survey undertaken by the National Park last year showed that 99% of our visitors to the area felt that they had a good or very good experience. And I think that's something we should all be really, really proud of in quite challenging times. I'd also like to add to Robin's comment and thank the committee, soon to be board, for their ongoing support and guidance and scrutiny as an organisation, and to our brilliant team who deliver for all of you, our members, on a daily basis. We're a part-time team, and that's part of our strategy, really, that we can be as cost effective as possible, but really deliver as we grow as an organisation, deliver on all of the different streams that we offer and that we focus on, and as I say, the team are phenomenal and really deserve our thanks and appreciation. So from a Visit Exmoor perspective, as you just saw in the video, we've maintained growth across all of our channels, really. So our website was implemented last year, and we're on track for 180,000 visitors in the first year of the website, which is amazing work. And many of you know Callie worked long and hard on our new website. We get great feedback from that, and we'll also obviously be continuing to evolve that. Our social media channels and engagement continue to grow at a really nice, healthy, steady pace, and I think today we're sat at around 32,000 as our total engaged audience, and you'll see us continuing to focus on that, and some of the channels where perhaps we could be stronger, like Twitter. We've initiated, in quite a difficult time actually, but we've initiated quite a few different kind of tools to really support our businesses and to support our consumers in engaging with the area. So you'd have seen during the last year the uptake of our Visit Exmoor holiday group, and if any of our accommodation members are on today, I'd really compel you to take a look at that and join up with that. And that's a mechanism where our businesses can present offers, late availability, things of interest in a Facebook chat group directly to interested consumers, and the booking then happens directly between the consumer and the business themselves. And we've had quite a lot of direct feedback from our members, especially over the last few months actually, at how well that is working for them. We've also got the continuation of the Beyond booking platform, and that really underlines our focus on how you can enjoy the area and enjoy yourself in different ways when you're in the area. And again, we've seen really good traction with that. I think today we've got about 44 different activities and experiences that can be booked by consumers for that platform, and we're quite carefully tracking the results of that as we come back into what will be our second our second peak period, utilizing the platform to look at the benefits that's giving to our businesses. We've also, over the year, this year, had a real kind of on the same kind of theme, but a real focus on events across the area. And we've got the events platforms up on the Visit Exmoor website. We are on behalf of the area, kind of working with all key partners to be the central single point for information on events across the area. Some of the promotions that we've run around that have been some of our most engaged promotions, so we can see that there's a consumer audience engaged for that, and also interestingly, it obviously attracts day visitors to the area as well, with an ongoing focus from us on how we get those day visitors to spend when they are in the area. We've maintained our strong media and press presence across the year. I think the one comment I'd make there is from a press article perspective, we've seen, and this is a trend, but obviously during the pandemic we saw a drop in what we'd call those fam trips, or the press visits to the area, and we'll start to look at how we engage and increase those as we go through this year. We've also engaged with all of you, our members, really well over the year. It's been really nice from a perspective. Some of the things we've done, obviously, in the first part of the last year was across Zoom. But when we came into this year, we had a huge demand from our members and businesses to do more networking again face to face. And we had our fabulous event over earlier in the year, which I think we had record kind of attendance and businesses coming in for, which was fabulous. We've grown our membership, which I think coming out of the pandemic especially, we're really proud of. We maintained our membership level pretty much during the pandemic period. Sadly, we lost a few businesses, but we also took on a few new members as well. So coming out of the lockdown period, our membership was flat, and we're now starting to see a really nice growth in the membership levels as well. And we now have over 320 members between our paid membership levels and our associate membership program as well. Our team has grown, as Robin mentioned, to better support you, our members, and alongside that, we've been able to evolve our business support offering under Max's watchful and experienced eye, and hopefully you're starting to see that we're really trying to work with data and research now to give us more credibility as a voice for the area, but also to inform pretty much everything that we do, and we're also working to really focus on key issues for the area, or key focus areas for the area. One example I'd give is the Centre of Excellence for hospitality, which is us working with and motivating other area partners to come together, and we formed a very light touch governance group where we are looking to drive a really positive cycle of uptake in young people especially, but people coming back to careers or second careers into our area hospitality industry. And we're just about at a formal launch point with that now, and you'll start to see more of that as we go through through the year. And I think, as Robin touched on, all of those things and our continued evolution, we strive to be as professional as we can and to continue to grow at an appropriate rate and in the right ways. But it's resulted in us very, very recently forming the incorporated community interest company that, as Robin says, we'll be transitioning to over the next period. But I think collectively, the fact that we've reached that point, that's been in our strategy as an option for several years, and I think all of the work that's been done to professionalise, to grow, and to be sustainable as an organisation for the future is really summarised in the fact that we've achieved that community interest status, and we should all across the area be really, really proud, really proud of that. So as we look forward over 22 into 2023, I've just kind of provided a bit of a summary of what we think our key priorities will be over the period. And I think from a branding, promotions and campaigns perspective, we really experienced and we know and understand what resonates well and engages our consumer audience, and also what actually drives increased footfall, which is obviously the kind of result that we're all looking for. We want to increase staying visitors. We want to increase in the different markets that visit us, and we really are starting to learn what really works. So you'll see our kind of seasonal focuses continue, changing throughout the seasons, but all underlined by that here all year message. And that really responds to what we've seen as feedback from businesses, and I think Max will touch on that a little bit later, that one of the key concerns and focus areas for our visitor economy businesses is to attract a more consistent level of income through visitors all year round. We will continue with our foodie focus. Eat Exmoor is exceptionally engaging. It works from a seasonal point of view. It's something that we can promote and utilise all year round, and I think it is one of the credentials we have across the area to be really proud of as well, the food and drink offering that we have, but also how much of that comes from our own local produce across the area. I've already mentioned the Visit Exmoor Holidays group, and that as a tool and a direct business to consumer engagement message will continue, and we're going to continue encouraging you all to really take that up and utilise that, along with our continued focus on events, activities and attractions. We'll be continuing to work and evolve and improve the new website, and as we get to the first full year, I think in June, of the website being online, we've got a kind of full year of data and statistics which will help further inform us on how that can be even better improved. I kind of touched on the media presence. I mean, we will maintain our media presence. That's both from a promoting an area, but also from having a voice for the area on key issues impacting the visitor economy. And as I said, we're going to really work to drive and increase the press update again following the pandemic. From a business support perspective, Max is working really hard over the summer season, actually this year, to evolve and improve our business support hub. And you've already seen some quite significant changes in the expansion of that over the last 2 years. But Max is really going to be looking at how we make that as simple to use and as accessible as possible, along with continuing to offer one-to-one business support to our paid members if they need support, or they have a particular challenge that we can assist with. We'll continue to work. It's quite interesting, this one. It's an evolution of our Here All Year promotions. But again, I don't want to steal Max's thunder because he'll talk about this in a little while, but it's a good example of using the data and insight to inform us. So we know that our Here All Year promotions are really successful and they're really effective. We also know perhaps that at certain times of year, the visitor experience when the visitors actually come here to the area may be slightly different, because at certain times of the year, not all of our offering is open. And we've just done some research, which Max will chat about in a minute, to really start to understand that. What are the gaps in our offering? Are there any particular areas that have a very low level of things open at certain times of year from a visitor perspective, etc., etc. And the next step from that really will be how we work with the businesses and also area stakeholders to really think about if there's anything that we can do in an appropriate way to maybe increase the offering or to balance out what's available, so that we know when we're attracting visitors all year round that they're also getting that wonderful experience, and we can convert them to second time repeat visitors to the area. We're going to be looking at several new initiatives during the next year. The accommodation booking, which I think actually should be accommodation booking / availability. It's something that some of you will know we've been considering for quite a long time, and the reason that we are taking our time is that we are looking to find the right platform to include on our website to support the businesses. It's quite challenging because our accommodations have slightly different needs. They also have slightly different technologies, and we've gone a reasonable way now down a path investigating an option that is commission free, and also we think offers a first step from an availability central platform that shows availability across all of our members' accommodation that could be appropriate. But obviously that needs quite a lot of work, and that remains top of the priority list as we progress that over the next few months. We'll also be looking in our kind of back-end processes at a membership system, and I think Mike will probably be breathing a sigh of relief and smiling at that one. We do run a manual process pretty much on our membership renewals at the moment. It's very well run by Mike, but it isn't the most efficient, and we'd like to use Mike's time better kind of servicing our members. So one of the other new initiatives this year will be looking at a more automated membership and payment system to support you all. And also, and I've already mentioned this, so I won't go and repeat myself back round it, but the Centre of Excellence for Hospitality, of which we're really excited about. We think it's the right focus and right support for the biggest challenge we have across the area, because the recruitment crisis in hospitality impacts our offering overall, and you'll be hearing more from us on that very shortly. From a team and membership point of view, we will continue the work we've been doing over the last couple of years to improve and streamline our processes, which our members should see and feel in how effective we are. That also helps our team be as effective as possible. Establishing ourselves as a CIC means that we would be able to implement PAYE, which enables us to finally be able to give opportunities within Visit Exmoor to apprentices across the area, which we're really, really excited about. I've mentioned several times today why data and research is so important to everything we do, and we're going to continue to work to focus to really embed that in our kind of standard working going forward across the year. And we'll continue to have and increase our voice for our own visitor economy the last 2 years through COVID recovery has shown the most amazing Stronger Together working with key partners and stakeholders across the area, and we will drive to continue that strong engagement and work in an aligned and really pleasant way with all of our friends and partners across the area to deliver benefits to the visitor economy. And we'll continue to lobby through regional and national tourism bodies and through government for the key issues that impact our businesses and our visitor economy the most. So I think before I close out, I think for our members, I just was having a little think before the call, feedback from Callie and other members on the team, really on everything that you guys can do as members to get the very best out of us. I think we'll always encourage you to engage with us on campaigns and promotions. You're more than welcome to share, reshare, tag us into hashtags and things that align with campaigns and promotions. And sometimes I know some of our businesses find that's a really simple way to start to increase your social media presence. We'd encourage you all to continually update your website profile, your photos, keep us informed of what's going on for you as a business and whether there's anything particular to promote. If we know about it and it's up to date, we can really support and shout about it. I think I've banged on enough about joining the Visit Exmoor holidays group, and if you want to find out more about that and how to do that, please contact myself or Aisha on the team, and we can point you at how to get started on that. I'd also really encourage you all to either join or check whether you're active as a member on the Visit Exmoor members Facebook group. Max uses that as one of our communication channels from a business support point of view, so a lot of what you should see coming out in our regular email newsletters and communications is also posted as news flashes on the members Facebook group. And if you're not, we know that I think we've got about 100 of our members engaged on there, so we know that not all of our members are engaged with us through that channel, and it really is very valuable, and you'll hear about everything that's going on as soon as it's happening. The other 2 points that I was just going to raise on that as well is, from a newsletter point of view, I think our click rate and delivery rate is going up and up, but the usual reminder for everybody just to check that you are receiving newsletter communications via your email from Visit Exmoor, and it's not going to your junk or switched off or whatever. And again, if you've got any challenges with that, just let us know and we can help you get switched on. And the other thing from a membership point of view is we now offer cardless and repeat payment method, and we can hook you up through Mike with Wendy to step you through how you can join up with that, which makes everything a little bit more simple as well. So that was everything from me, Robin.
Thank you very much, Emma, and very impressive. I'm hoping everyone is keeping a little list of anything they might want to ask you at the end. Are you happy to circulate that to the wider membership? As I'm conscious we've got 15 or so people here, and there was so much in there that I think the wider membership would love to read about as well.
Yes, and the achievement videos will be online, and yes, we'll make sure that that's we signpost to that.
Excellent. Well, congratulations on a huge list of achievements there. There's so much happening. Let's jump straight on to Max and finance report and make sure we're affording everything and we're solvent and so on. Max, over to you.
Thank you very much, Robin, and thanks, Emma, for a really comprehensive overview. I'm really going to share with you now the finances of the organisation. Let me just get these open. And Bear with me a second. Technology. Right. Bear with me. Right. Can people see that?
We can see a listing of your files. So it's a
Right.
AGM files folder at the moment.
Okay, somebody, it's all right. We're just letting some more members in. Give me a second. Go back into this. Right, I think we should have that now. Can everyone see that?
I can, looks good.
Right, lovely. So this year we retain the services of Thomas Westcott in Barnstaple. They did our accounts for us last year. Really a big thanks to Wendy that's pulled a lot of this year-end accounting together. And Thomas Westcott have reviewed the figures, and bearing in mind that actually when we see the figures, the previous year was a 15-month trading period, and this year we've moved on, but we're back to a traditional 12 months. So it's not possible to have a direct like-for-like comparison at this stage. Just paging through so that you can actually see that these have properly been reviewed by the accountants. So income this year was 128,000 as opposed to 140,000. As I say, that was a 15-month trading period, and you'll see that membership income is slightly up this year. Labour costs have grown. That's with our new team members. There was one invoice that was carried forward from the previous year, and also again that was a 15-month period, obviously. The second item is the business rates retention, the VESP project, for 2021, and we didn't have those costs in 2022. Insurance remained very much the same. We saw a growth in administrative costs and a growth in the computer bureau costs. Computer bureau costs are software, emails, cloud-based licenses, etc. Promotional activities remained very much on par. And one of the great news stories is the website. Website costs were down considerably, and that really is testament to all the hard work that went into actually moving the website across to MyHigh, and that has really made a considerable amount of difference. Advertising was down, but in 2021 we did have quite a large promotion, Telephone costs remain similar. Tourism conference costs were actually allocated to promotional activities this year. Travel and subsistence remain on par, more or less, as did entertaining. Legal and professional fees went up. We spent money with a solicitor for the contract for the team members to make sure that the contractors were on suitable contracts. So that was included, and there was also included in there some of the community interest charges. The accountancy fees were up slightly, and bank charges fell, and subscriptions were up. One of the key things with this is we took a subscription out with SurveyMonkey so that we could collect data. So we had an operating profit of 9,139 as opposed to 29,712 over the period. And balance sheet, we have trade creditors that were carried across into April. And that really is the presentation of accounts. If you have any particular questions, quite happily take them at the end, or Wendy is on this call that deals with our accounts on a day-to-day basis. So Wendy and I will be pleased to take any comments or take it offline, whichever you prefer. So if we stop share there, and back to you, Robin.
Thank you, Max. Very comprehensive report on all those figures. Always hard to compare 12 months with 15 months, particularly when you have a global pandemic affecting everything and everything changing the whole time. So congratulations. And again, if anyone has any questions, if you could hold them till the end and we can raise them then. And hopefully Max's voice is a little bit rested because you also have the next agenda item to talk through some of the research and Here All Year trends, which Emma has touched on in her report. Max, over to you again.
Thank you very much, Robin. Right. Let me just a second.
I, for one, would not be unhappy if this event is face-to-face in a year from now, because I suspect, although wonderful Zoom is, we all would love to actually get back to seeing people and smiling. We work in hospitality after all, and hospitality is about people and smiles and interactions. And having been to a few events recently, which were not on Zoom, I have to say they were appreciated so much, from just being able to converse and chat and smile and interact again as humans like to do. But that was a bit of a waffle to give Max a bit of time. Over to you, Max.
Thank you very much. Can you all see this? Yeah, wonderful. So we conducted a survey of members and associate members, really to solicit their thoughts and challenges on extending the visitor season to drive the Visit Exmoor Here All Year campaign. The project purpose was really to extend the season for our members into the late autumn, early spring shoulder and winter months. The importance of extending the seasons for businesses was also a key emerging trend coming out of the visitor economy support programme, of which we played a key role. The Here All Year survey was live for just over 1 calendar month during February and March. And we polled to members at several points during that period through social media, newsletters, and one-to-one interventions. And we had around a 30% response rate, which was very encouraging. We'll look at the business sectors. Accommodation providers made up the largest sector of respondents, with just over 52%, followed by attractions and museums, etc., and food and drink providers at around 10%. So we had a fairly good mix. We were quite pleased with the mix of business sectors. Geographical sectors, mainly the respondents were from the heart and the north coast of Exmoor, but we have been able to drill down to town and settlement specific settlements. And really, the key to it all was around 69% of businesses open all year. The key closure months were, as probably we're all aware of, January, February, and December. And then we asked respondents, if you do choose to close for some part of the year, what was the reason? Lack of footfall was the main target reason, with just under 15%. Other was made up of comments such as redecoration, or lack of staff, low midweek occupancy, high utility consumption costs, and one or two people had a lifestyle choice. Just bear with me a moment, I'm just admitting someone again. And then we went on to ask, then we went on to ask businesses, what was the primary reason? We asked businesses, are there any circumstances you would consider opening during the autumn? And that was at around 40%, really demand driven. So if the business is there, the operators are prepared to open. We then asked a little bit about VAT registration, and we were trying to look at this VAT question both for ourselves as an organisation, but also to try and understand the micro businesses and the SME split, the small medium enterprise split across the national park. And you will see that actually 48.57 were either trading below the VAT threshold for lifestyle choices, or because the business hadn't reached the threshold. So it proved a point that we are very much a micro business area. Excuse me, I'm letting someone else in as well. And then we then asked, and what type of VAT registration for those that were registered, and the overwhelming majority were on a standard rate VAT system. And interestingly enough, we then asked the respondents, do you feel that your town, village, settlement offers a welcome food, drink and retail and hospitality all year round? 51.43 felt that their area or their particular area offered a retail hospitality offering, but just under 30% disagreed. Of the comments that were made up of the 30%, many felt there was insufficient dining options over the winter months to attract business. And several people were keen to improve the situation. And too many businesses have closed down over the past 2 years was another key theme. And then really we drilled right down to say what proportion of visitor economy businesses in your town, village, settlement are open in the winter. And in the 100% bracket, which was around 15%, and these are likely, and we've done some research, to be more the town-based businesses, they took us through to the 100% bracket. We then drilled down to the 50 to 75%, which was the largest bracket, where 48% of respondents identified. Then we went down to 25 to 50%, and then 0 to 25, and 0 to 25 was quite high at 18%. So those last two figures are showing that really nearly 37% of businesses are registering at under 50% of businesses operating in their area over the winter months. Then we did a text-based question, and if you answered anything but 50, then 100%, why do you think this is? The key reason was lack of demand by far, with over 50% of respondents. Lifestyle choices came into this. And again, it threw up this lack of places for visitors to dine. A small proportion put it down to lack of enthusiasm, the VAT threshold, and COVID-19. And when we asked businesses, when did they feel more businesses could be open? The overwhelming months were December and March in the out of season shoulder months. And then we asked respondents to identify if they were to collaborate with their fellow businesses to ensure there was an offering throughout the year, would they be prepared to collaborate? And encouragingly, nearly 40% of people said they would be willing to work with businesses within their town, village, settlement to deliver an enhanced offer for our visitors. And then we asked the question, so what do you think would encourage businesses to open all year round? And again, it threw up demand-based opening, additional activities, theme weekends, sporting, food events, and quite highly the feedback showed that actually becoming a food destination where there were more places to eat would also drive out of season occupancy and business. Some financial support came into this, better promotion of a warm winter welcome, coordinated effort, more motivation amongst individual businesses. Again, the VAT threshold came into the equation, as did the availability of staff, and 2 businesses felt it wasn't possible to deliver a quality product over a 12-month period. And then we went on to ask, well, what could we do to attract out-of-season visitors? And it came down mainly to events, concerts, food festivals, experiences, nature tours, culture. And again, it threw up this higher quality of food and drink and lack of quality accommodation offering. The third most popular response was greater promotion to consumers within a 2-hour drive, developing a spa offering, better transport links, and more experiential-based tourism. And really, the conclusion, overwhelmingly, it was really demand-based. If we are going to encourage businesses, there has to be the level of demand. And a good proportion of businesses appeared to be open to considering sharing their opening times with fellow businesses. December and March were identified as the key months that we really need to work on. And events and themes, weekends away, concerts, cultural activities, food festivals were seen as the key method of attracting more attention over the winter months. But one reoccurring theme that came through the whole survey was the lack of or the scarcity of quality dining options within the area, which was perceived really as hampering the shoulder months and impacting the local economy. We are drawing up a full copy of this report, so if anybody is interested in receiving a copy, please do just ask. And Robin, I'm handing back to you.
Thank you, Max. There's a huge amount of info in there, which some of it reinforces the activities and strategies that Emma's already touched on. You know, for example, the working with beyond on experiential tourism and so on, but I think a lot more will be informing future strategic work as well. Inevitably, the research also raises lots of questions as well, but that's always the way of things. But thank you for that, and I think everyone will welcome seeing the detailed research that has come out of that.
It is, Robin, very much in its infancy, so we will drill down and pull that all together.
Great, and I'm sure that people, well, I hope that people will have a few questions to ask when we get to the end as well. Max, has that covered all of your agenda item 6, or? It
has. I should imagine everybody's fed up of hearing me speak.
Well, in that case, we can jump to a different speaker. But no, thank you. A lot of content in there and a lot of thought-provoking facts and figures as well. And I suspect we'll have some more thought-provoking facts and figures from Dan from Exmoor National Park, with whom I've had some interesting social media exchanges in the last couple of weeks, but I won't go into the detail of that. Dan, over to you.
Thanks, Robin. Morning, everybody, or afternoon even, I should say. You don't really tell the difference when you're sat in your home office all day. Yeah, so I think really, as Robin suggested, I'm going to fill you in a bit more data and research, mainly stuff that's come out of the National Park Authority, and hopefully alongside that weave in a few updates about what we're up to as an organisation. And, you know, we really value our partnership with Visit Exmoor. We're really pleased that we're able to continue putting in some finance to support Visit Exmoor, and having that kind of close working relationship, I think, is very beneficial for all. Some of you will be aware that we produce two types of research on a kind of regular basis, and we then do ad hoc research. But one of those pieces is the STEAM model to estimate the volume and the value of tourism within the national park. It's a model that all of the national parks across the country use. And we get that produced annually. We also run alongside this, normally every 2 years, our visitor survey, which gives us more qualitative views about visitor behaviour, their experience here, how they're finding out about things to do, all of those kinds of information. So first of all, I just wanted to share a few of the kind of key figures coming from STEAM. As I say, it's one of two models that's endorsed by the Office of National Statistics in terms of measuring tourism within a given geography. And it's a really vital tool for us to be able to monitor and to measure and therefore manage tourism within Exmoor. It does take about 6 months or so from the end of a calendar year to collate all of the data. So we don't yet have the 2021 figures available to us. But what I've been showing on the screen here is 2020 compared to 2019. Now, in other words, obviously, what we're looking at here is our kind of pre-pandemic baseline of 2019 versus 2020, which, you know, cast your minds back to those heavy days of spring 2020 when we had that first lockdown. We then had the second lockdown in November. So this was a year that probably the COVID restrictions most impacted tourism on Exmoor. And you'll see that visitor days fell by 34%. Visitor numbers fell by 24%. Now, the difference between
Dan and Max, can I just interrupt a second? I'm seeing not the PowerPoint on display mode on slide view.
Oh,
I don't know if others are.
So are you seeing the?
That's better.
Is that better now?
Yes, we're now seeing a detailed slide showing headline figures and visitor days.
Great. Okay. I'm not quite sure what's happening. So if I start talking about something that's not on display, do sing out and let me know, because it seems to be doing something slightly odd. Yeah. So the difference between visitor days and visitor numbers is quite simply, if you had somebody staying for a long weekend, maybe Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that would be one visitor number, 3 visitor days. And so the reason that we see this slight discrepancy in terms of the decrease due to COVID is that what we had over the summer period was quite a substantial increase in day visitors as opposed to staying visitors. Now, also, but the first lockdown kind of came in the shoulder season, if you like. We were able to reopen somewhat in the summer, but you'll recall when we first opened up, there were still heavy restrictions, and particularly for you as businesses, you weren't allowed to reopen initially. You know, overnight stays were still prohibited. So that's really where we see the economic impact, which is quite telling, as a significant drop of almost 50% of the year. Because obviously, yeah, from May onwards, people were allowed to travel to somewhere like Exmoor for recreational activities, but as I say, businesses couldn't open, nobody was allowed to stay over, retailers, etc. were closed. One of the things I have just done, and hopefully these slides are showing properly now and you're able to see it, is based really on the conversation we've had so far this afternoon around the kind of seasonal variation. Now, again, I've done this for the 10 years prior to COVID. So it's, you know, in a way, COVID, it makes it impossible to have any kind of reliable trend data at the moment. But the 10 years leading up to COVID, you'll see that whilst overall visitor days and the economic impact of tourism grew throughout the year, we actually saw the most significant growth outside of the main season. So, you know, substantially more growth October to December.
Dan,
yes.
Sorry, you need to, if you click on each slide, it's not running as a presentation. So as you
Right.
move on, if you click on each one, then we'll see it.
Yeah, well, so is that working now? Sorry, because on
No,
mine it's just
you
mine
need
it's
to
just showing us.
click on your third slide down.
Yeah, you see, I haven't got that. It's just gone full screen. It's sharing the
right.
entire presentation.
Okay. We're still on slide 2, and you want to be on slide 3, I think.
Yeah, I really don't know what is going on here. I'm just going to stop sharing and try and reshare maybe. Sorry, I have to say we use Teams a lot more than Zoom, so it's a bit of an oddity for me. Let me just, I'll tell you what, I'll do the whole screen rather than the window and see if that works any better.
Ooh.
How's that? Is that working at all?
That looks good. That seasonal variation now showing.
Excellent. I do apologise for that delay and confusion. I have no idea what I'm doing on Zoom. So yeah, oh, sorry, and now user error. So yeah, so what you can see here is that I think I was looking at October to December, and this is to say 10 years prior to COVID up to 2019, 43% growth in terms of the economic impact for that October to December period, 34% growth for the January to March, much lower around the 10% mark through the kind of what we might consider the core season, April through to September. So it's interesting that, you know, it kind of supports that argument that if there's something open here, people will come, and it's always that vicious cycle, isn't it? People aren't coming because nowhere's open because people aren't coming, and it takes almost a few bold movers in the first place to step out. So I think some of the work Visit Exmoor doing around kind of trying to coalesce information about what is open and etc. will be very positive there. I wanted to touch on our visitor survey as well. This is something I say we normally do every 2 years, and we run it over a 6-month period. So we are getting a range of views. We're not only getting the range of views from people who are coming at the height of the season, but we are getting them through those shoulder seasons and into pretty much the lowest of the low season, for example, around November time before it creeps back up in December. And it provides us, as I say, up-to-date information on visitor satisfaction, what's motivating people, etc. And I don't have time, to be honest, to go through all of the detail today. You would be bored to tears, I'm sure, if I did. What you've got in front of you is a single page infographic that summarizes some of the key findings, and I'll put a few of those out, but all of it is available online. Hopefully most of you have already seen it, but if not, I can make that available to you and share the link with you, both to this infographic and the full report. But as I say, a few key messages. About 2/3 of visitors were staying in the area, and of those visitors, actually the mix of accommodation use was very evenly split between those camping and caravanning, self-catering accommodation and serviced accommodation. 2/3 of the visitors were positively influenced by the area's designation as a national park. So that was something that actually kind of helped inform their decision to come and stay here or come and visit, was the fact it was designated as a national park. 96% considered the park to be well managed and cared for. And I think very reassuringly, 97% were planning to return. That's a really high figure. It's higher than it's ever been before in our surveys. Interestingly enough, not a single person said they were not intending to come back. The remaining 3% were undecided, whereas in previous years we've often had kind of 5 to 10% not coming back, another 10% maybe undecided. So very positive results there. What we also saw last year was that 18% were on their first ever visit to Exmoor, and a further 20% hadn't visited in over 3 years. So, you know, 38% of people had either never been or hadn't been for some time to the area. This is slightly higher than we've seen before. No doubt it's an impact of COVID. We did ask people about, has COVID changed your travel plans? Do you think if it wasn't for COVID, you'd be here? And actually the vast majority of people said, yeah, actually we would still have come here. Of those that, however, said COVID had impacted plans, the vast majority were choosing a domestic break instead of their usual overseas break. We also look at the top attractors to the area. Scenery and landscape, tranquility, outdoor activities for coastline and wildlife are the top things that attract people to the area and want to actually hear the top activities undertaken, general sightseeing, walking, eating out. So again, that backs up some of what's already been discussed today, visiting attractions and wildlife watching. One of the things we're quite pleased about is that some of the work that ourselves and many of our partners, including Visit Exmoor, have been doing is around promoting our dark skies. It's been around the Eat Exmoor work, promoting us as a food destination, and that seems to have paid off. 25% of visitors were now saying the dark sky reserve status was a primary attractor to them coming to the area, and almost half of all visitors were citing access to local products as a primary attractor. So that's really quite encouraging. And then the last bit I wanted to say on the visitor survey, which Emma's already alluded to, really, is this one around visitor satisfaction. We ask people to kind of rate their overall satisfaction with their visit to Exmoor, anywhere between very poor, poor, fair, which scores are 3, good up to 5, which is very good. And the overall satisfaction of visitors was touching about 4.8 out of 5. Phenomenally high. Again, we've always had high satisfaction. It's always been about 99% rating their experience as good or very good. This particular occasion, over proportion rating their experience as very good was much higher than previously. It accounted for about 87% of all visitors. When you consider that 3 is fair, I think any score above 3 is generally okay. If anything drops below 3, i.e. it's fair or below, I'd be concerned. The areas with the lowest satisfaction, perhaps understandably, public transport and roads. I have to say the roads one is an interesting one. Some of them are just like, they're too windy, they're too narrow. There's probably not a lot we can do about that, given the overall appeal of somewhere like Exmoor is its tranquility and rurality. But I think things like public transport, it does show that there is some work to be done there. But accommodation, rights of way, were up there as some of the, and visitor attractions as some of the most positive aspects of somebody's stay. We also do a Net Promoter Score. You may be familiar with these. This is when you're often asked in all manner of situations, not just tourism, around how likely you are to recommend a service or a brand or something like that to friends and family, and you rate it out of 10. And I won't go into the maths of it, but you basically rate some as promoters if they score you higher. If lower scores, you kind of class as detractors, and you kind of ignore the people in the middle. And it gives you a Net Promoter Score, and it allows you to benchmark yourself against other kind of services and organizations. Anything over 50 is deemed as good. So the final score can range from -100 to +100. And say anything over 50 is deemed good. Above 70 is viewed as world class. And the Net Promoter Score for Exmoor came out at 86. So, that really is credit to all of you for sticking with it in what's been an incredibly tough year. And hopefully it gives some comfort, because we know there were challenges last year, and particularly around staffing, around some of the kind of remaining COVID limitations that were in place last year. And I think there were concerns about how this was impacting on satisfaction. But I think, to be honest, people were so relieved that they were able to get away on holiday and to escape and to recreate themselves, that I think that came through quite positively. Last year we celebrated our 10th anniversary as Europe's first dark sky reserve, and we invested therefore in developing astrotourism opportunities a bit further. One of the pieces of feedback we often got around the dark skies is saying, they're great, but where do I go to do it? Now, the simple answer is you step outside and you look up. But we did find that there was a lot of demand from people for slightly more organised activities. They wanted a bit of guidance, a bit of hand-holding to give them the confidence to really get the best out of our dark skies. And so some of the work we've been doing over the last couple of years have included launching a new dark sky hub with Exmoor Bridge tea rooms and Roundabout Exmoor, and they're now running weekly planetarium sessions and kind of stargazing evenings there. Planning consent has just been approved for a second hub, which will be more of a kind of viewing area, particularly useful for groups doing stargazing sessions at Wimblebourne Lake. And then in the autumn, we also launched our Dark Sky Discovery Trail. So this is something now that is available 365 days of a year. You know, you don't have to be here and coincide your visit with an event. It's it's an opportunity to go out and experience the dark skies. With a bit of guidance, we've got glow in the dark ray markers and things. It's been really well received since we launched it in the autumn. We've also published a new astronomer's guide, so that's particularly helpful if you've got guests who are staying with you who are keen astronomers. They know about the night sky, but they just need a bit of local information and context around how best to experience on Exmoor. That's a resource that you can point them to, and it's available on the website. We've now got well over 20 businesses that are accredited as dark sky friendly businesses, which was a new accreditation we introduced last year, and I know some of you are on the call today, so well done for getting there. And I think that's helped give a lot of the businesses a training associated with that, the confidence to run a few more dark sky events and experiences. And we've always found that pretty much any of these events sell really well, so there's a lot of unmet demand there. So that's been really positive. And then we continue with the annual Dark Skies Festival, which despite COVID, we've managed to kind of get it in the last 2 years, which has been quite amazing, really. And there's dates on the screen for next year's, or this year's festival, I should say. We also launched last year our new Exmoor Explorer walks. These were very much designed with this new audience in mind. A lot of our research showed that people were wanting shorter walks, you know, kind of less than 2 hours, whereas a lot of the guides available were for much longer walks. And so the new Explorer walks were, sorry, it's doing something very strange again. The new Explorer walks are really designed to meet with this new audience. They're very easy to follow. You don't need to be a map reader. You don't need to have all the latest gear. You know, the guides tell it to you all. We've got video guides so people can get that confidence up before they go. So yeah, that's been really successful. And we had really good coverage from both the BBC and the ITV on that. This year, we're working on a range of new classic routes, so slightly longer routes, kind of half to full day routes, which will update some of our current routes, which are now somewhat dated, and we'll then be moving on to some easier access routes next year. So we're hoping to therefore have a really good range of promoted routes. All of the information on those is available on our new website at exmoorwalks.org, and that will be expanded throughout this year and next year as we introduce these 2 new categories of walking routes and collections. A lot has been said today already about kind of food tourism and putting Exmoor on a map for food tourism. And as I say, the visitor survey results speak for themselves, but it is something people are coming to Exmoor for. It's something they're looking for. One of the things we found a few years ago when we did a bit of research is that a lot of businesses were making really good use of local products. But if we're being honest, they weren't necessarily telling the story. They weren't letting their guests know that they were using local products. So there's a bit of a missed opportunity, both in terms of meeting visitor experiences and making sure that visitors knew they were getting local products. But also there was some issues around, you know, they weren't able to add that kind of value that you can often attach to local products. And so we've worked closely with Visit Exmoor on the Eat Exmoor work over the last couple of years. Visit Exmoor continued to do their fantastic guide, whereas we've been working on helping businesses brand their local products. So, you know, on the left is one example of a poster that we've got available for hospitality providers, just to flag up the fact that they're proud to be using local goods. There are versions for retailers as well. On the right hand side of the slide, you can see just some of the point of sale material that we've made available both to retailers and producers, so that they can really flag up local products, shelf edges, stickers, that kind of thing, so that, you know, they can be proud that they are selling something from Exmoor and consumers know that they're getting an authentic product. I wanted to just touch briefly on Care More for Exmoor and say a massive thank you to all of the businesses that act as Care More champions for us. And so I don't know what's going on with these slides. It's doing something very strange. And I don't know if it's so yeah, apologies for that. But yeah, we've raised over £400,000 last year to invest in keeping Exmoor special, particularly aimed at conservation and access projects. The slide gives you a list of just some of the things that we've been able to support in the last couple of years as a result of Care More donations. Part of the reason this figure is so high this year is that we did benefit from 2 very substantial legacies, but nevertheless, the work of our kind of business champions is really vital for Care More, not only in raising funds, but also just getting the word out there about Care More. And so if anybody is interested, we have got a new guide around how you can become a Care More champion and to talk you through that process. And then just as we wrap up, really, you'll be aware that we worked quite closely with Visit Exmoor on the tourism recovery and response plan over the last couple of years. You know, within about a week of the first lockdown being announced, we managed to coalesce partners together to work on this, so we had a coordinated response. I guess partly we were learning from our experiences of foot and mouth, for example, you know, which seems like a very long hazy memory now of 20 years ago. But the response plan was really successful in bringing partners together, talking with one voice about what Exmoor needed, breaking down some of those kind of historical rivalries, if you like, between kind of locations on Exmoor, and saying, actually, together we can be so much bigger and stronger. And I think it's worked really well. I think the feeling of the partners within that now is that the recovery plan has probably run its course. You know, COVID is still with us, as sadly we all know. It's not gone away, but we're not having to respond quite so quickly to changing kind of guidelines. We're not having to react so quickly to some of the restrictions and things that had to be introduced. And so we're into the marathon now rather than the sprint, aren't we? And so we're looking at how do we renew tourism following the pandemic, but how do we also renew it in light of a climate and nature emergencies? How do we renew our kind of sense of specialness on Exmoor? So we'll be working with partners to look at that over the next year or so, kind of what can we collectively do? And that's the real strength of this. We all have our part to play. The National Park Authority has got a strong role to play in terms of managing the product and visitor management, whereas somebody like Visit Exmoor is really the best organisation to kind of lead on the promotion and marketing of it. And so it really is a partnership effort, and that's great to see. So I'll leave it there. If you've got any questions that we don't have time to answer today, do drop us an email. If you want to see the visitor survey report in full detail, do have a look at the tourism page on our website. The address is there, and I'm sure we can circulate that after. And I do apologise for all of the issues with PowerPoint playing up today, but thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dan. That was fascinating. And having been in tourism and destination for quite a few decades, I have to say, I don't think I've ever heard as good examples of joint working between a national park and a destination marketing and management body as you've just been through. Usually they are, in my experience, battling with each other, but there is some absolutely fantastic examples of joint working there, and great to hear. I learnt a lot. Right, we're down to the final 2 agenda items. The next one is called the 2022 awards season. And having rather a lot of involvement in awards, I don't think there's such a thing as a season, because I was at an awards event last night, and awards the next year is starting tomorrow. So it's just year round and all consuming in my experience. But Emma, I think you are leading on this with a bit of technological input.
Yes, no, I am. I think linking to, and just to say thank you very much to Dan from that. That was, as always, really, really insightful. And don't worry about the technical problems. I'm just getting my revenge on you finally for making me join Teams calls when my technology never works. But yeah, no, so one of the things when we were looking at, when I was talking through earlier, the priorities for Visit Exmoor for the year was around excellence in our delivery. And this year, you will all see more and more focus from us on supporting our area businesses into the Devon Awards and also the Somerset, Bath and Bristol Awards, depending on their location in Exmoor. And there's a really good reason for that. I think we know, and I've got a short video coming up from Lucy at Exmoor Character Cottages, who was one of the winners in the Somerset Awards, but also going up through that into the Southwest Awards as well. I think there really is a benefit to our businesses to entering into the awards. I think the process itself helps you kind of shape and understand the quality of your offering, and obviously once you get into the awards, if you are nominated or a winner, there are tons of amazing free promotional opportunities that come from that. That's really helpful to you as a business. It also, us all working together to increase the prominence of our area from a quality perspective. It's really kind of supportive of that. We're really passionate about this at Visit Exmoor, and you'll know that because we've kind of been driving this focus for several years now. Visit Exmoor with Hinckley Tourism Action Partnership sponsors the Somerset Awards, and Visit Exmoor also sponsor the Devon Awards because we think they are so important, and we're very proud to be a part of those. This year we're kind of making a next step in our kind of support and motivation for our businesses entering the wards. And Max, and you'll see this coming out in newsletters and communications, but Max is looking at running a drop-in day where the Visit Exmoor team will be on hand in as central location as we can find for everybody on Exmoor, and if businesses want to drop in, help with their applications, etc., we're going to trial that as a way of really supporting more of our businesses in. We did see an increase in 20 to 21 through some of our efforts, and I think mostly for very understandable reasons. Last year we saw quite a drop in the entries from our Exmoor businesses, and that's why we're really focusing on this year. But I think Lucy is able to, as a award winner for Exmoor Character Cottages, as I say, Somerset, and then at a regional level as well, is probably able to tell you better about the benefits of entering the awards. So if you just bear with me to share my screen, hopefully everybody can see that.
I'm Lucy from Exmoor Character Cottages. We won gold in the Resilience and Innovation category in the Bristol, Bath and Somerset Awards, and then went on to win silver in the much larger Southwest tourism area. It's been a really great experience for us. We spent a long time doing the award entry and getting lots of information together about our business, but we were walked through the process by the team at the awards, and it was really helpful to do that. Since we've won the award, we've had so much recognition. It's been great for our team. It's been fantastic for our suppliers. Even my neighbours have come and said congratulations because they've seen us in the press. So all of that has been amazing for the business. In particular, being able to wave the flag for Exmoor as a region alongside some of the really big companies in the Southwest. If you think about companies in Bath, in Bristol, Stonehenge, that whole region of Cornwall and Dorset. So we felt really privileged to be alongside them and to be celebrating at the awards ceremony in April at Sandy Park in Exeter. I would really say to businesses in Exmoor, it's really worth having a go. Even if you get shortlisted and don't win an award, the process of going through it, of being alongside your peers and of thinking about your business is a really great discipline, and it's been absolutely fantastic for us, and we'll definitely do it again.
There you go. So as I said, I couldn't have said it better than Lucy. And congratulations to Exmoor Character Cottages. We're really proud of you, along with Dunkery Beacon Hotel, Longlands, Dunster Visitor Centre, Cross Lane House and Porlock Visitor Centre, who were all nominees and winners across the different awards that we're involved in this year. And as I say, we're going to really look forward to 2022-2023 season and supporting our businesses. Max, have you are we able to run the video from now?
Bear with me a second.
If we're not, we can distribute it up if it's playing out.
Hang on, just bear me a
We've
second.
also got a video from Nell Barrington, who's kind of talking about the benefits, but also how to get involved in the process in entering the awards. Max, if it's going to be a challenge, we can communicate it out.
It's possibly best if we send it out. Send it out with a link, I think.
And we'll put it on the awards section on the business support as well.
Great.
That's that, Robin.
Great. Well, thank you for that. And yes, this year's awards will launch this week. And it would be fabulous to have a lot of Exmoor businesses taking part. I'm expecting the Visit England to be announcing the finalists, national finalists, any day. And fingers crossed we'll have some Exmoor winners going all the way through there too, which is always then something really to shout about if we have an Exmoor business that has beaten all comers. So that's something very much to keep fingers crossed for. Right, we're at agenda item 9, which is questions and answers. Max, I know people had the chance to ask questions in advance. Did we have any advance questions we need to cover?
No, there were no submissions, Robin.
Okay, in that case, we can ask if there are any questions from anyone here present. If you want to give me a wave if you have a question, so I know who's keen. I have a message on chat from Bob saying, apologies, I'm going to have to leave the meeting, but thank you for taking part.
Rob Newman has just put his hand up.
Rob, you put your hand up. Do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Thank you, Robin. Chairman of the Cliff Railway at Linton and Lynmouth, and Bob Shaddick. I think it's you that's about to leave, isn't it? Because you're off to Las Vegas, so have fun there. Oh. Good luck. Just want to talk about the length of the season, which is an interesting one. I mean, historically, Linton and Lynmouth, when it was a means of transport, would open all year round, but that's long gone. But what we do try to do now is to open 9 months in the year, and that generally works well. So starting at February half term, going through to November half term, and that means there are certain things we can do at each end. In February, for example, we've got Mothering Sunday, and we've got half term there. At the end in November, we've got Halloween, and we've got fireworks occasionally, time to time. It hasn't always worked, particularly in the last couple of years because of COVID, also because you get storms in February and occasionally in November, and that interferes with lots of things. And in 2020, when we wanted to, because we opened in July, I think, in that year, we were hoping to keep going, and people were coming, and there were a lot of people around. We were getting up to November and thinking, this is great. We're going to keep going to December. We'll do Christmas. And we were finding people were coming. But of course, that didn't happen because there was yet another COVID lockdown and we had to stop. So Christmas didn't happen 2020. It didn't happen in 2021 because of a major rail replacement process that we had to undertake last year, which removed the track and basically meant we clearly couldn't operate. What I was going to say was it would be, I mean, it obviously makes sense for as many operations as possible to be open because we all benefit mutually. The more people are open, the benefits are greater all around. It would be good if there could be at least a general consensus that Exmoor should be open for business between the two half terms, so early February to early November. And if that got around and people would know, yeah, we can go there and we can get a meal and we can find somewhere to stay and we can hopefully find something to do. And then maybe working on from that, maybe even get a consensus that things could happen around Christmas as well for a week.
Absolutely. And I know that is very much an Exmoor National Park and a Visit Exmoor priority. I mean, it's not something that can be cracked overnight. I remember my first experiences in destination management 20 plus years ago, when National Trust basically shut for virtually all of the winter, and it was a lot of pressure on National Trust to open, and it started with some properties and then became a lot more. And as Dan said, it's chicken and egg. You need some to open, to encourage others to open, and then the people come, and then more will open. But it needs the complete experience of the food and drink and the transport and the attractions and the places to stay, which I would see as very much a Visit Exmoor and National Park joint initiative. But yeah, let's make sure that that goes on the agenda. And I just saw another hand up there too, but I missed who it was.
I think Bill and Bob.
It was Bob. Bob, you need to go to Las Vegas. Is that right?
Yeah, I thought just, I mean, to reiterate what Rob said there at the Cliff Railway, what we've done this year to try and extend the season a little bit more is we've converted to a 100% digital advertising campaign this year. Traditionally, we printed leaflets. We printed 350,000 of them a year, and they were distributed. But the problem you have with that is that when there's more people in the area, they pick up more leaflets, and when there's nobody in the area, they don't pick up the leaflets. So we're hoping by a digital advertising campaign that we can advertise more aggressively in those shoulder months and almost turn it off a little bit in the peak months when we're at capacity, and seeing if we can extend the season a little bit that way, but also change the marketing campaign, because we get a lot of older visitors, walkers towards the end of the season, autumn months, just to give us a much greater scope for our marketing. And yeah, that's how we're trying to push those shoulder seasons this year.
Brilliant. Can I just, sorry, Rob, I was just going to say, Bob and Rob, I think obviously offline, but if you guys were willing, actually doing a bit of a case study with you guys on what you've been doing, what you're going to do to try and kind of gradually start to address a longer season, that would be really helpful. It'd be great promotion for you guys as well, but it'd be really helpful because it starts to show some of our other businesses the way you can start to think about this without taking huge big risk steps all at one time. I'll contact you both offline on that if you're happy.
Yeah,
Not while you're in Vegas, Bob.
No, I'm going now.
Excellent. No, thank you for that. I see one more hand up, which is Bill Gash. Oh, two more hands up. And for the sake of people's time and sanity, I think we probably should draw it to a close after those two. So Bill, then Deborah.
Okay.
Let's go in that order.
Thanks, Robin. I'll be very quick. I have actually been here through the whole call. Jane was on, my wife was on the call earlier, and I was watching through her computer. I very much enjoyed the presentation. Thank you, everybody who's contributed, particularly also Dan for the National Park. I'm just going to share an idea that we've launched in our business. So Jane and I run woodlandholidays.com. That's two holiday lets in Dulverton. We've had a lot of people visiting us over the last 2 years where they've been allowed to come down, and many new people to Exmoor, perhaps learning about the park and its history for the first time. With another hat on, I'm a trustee of the Exmoor Society, and this is a very interesting body, as you well know, that since 1958 has been trying to find the balance between the economic prosperity of Exmoor, but also the need to preserve what makes it so special, particularly to visitors. So what we've provided as an exercise to see what the interest is a membership to the Exmoor Society as a gift for people staying with us for more than 3 nights, which they get for the first year, either as an individual or as a family. And then after that, if they want to continue being members and to support the work of the Exmoor Society, they're free to do so. But I do come across people who are discovering Exmoor, realizing how beautiful it is, and how it is, its future is finely balanced. And I appreciate a lot of people on the call and as part of Visit Exmoor have a livelihood and a business to run on Exmoor, but there is something we also need to conserve. And obviously the Exmoor Society is an independent charity that's been set up for many years, providing that neutral party or body to find that balance. So if anyone's interested, I can be contacted. I can just explain what we're doing and invite you to take up that type of offer. Thank you.
Right. And I'm sure Emma will follow up on that.
Yeah, no, and Bill knows I'm outstanding coming back to him. I do apologise on that. I think as well, Bill, we should grab a coffee and have a chat. But I haven't forgotten. I will follow up with you.
Thank you.
And it links
Thank you very much.
absolutely with Dan's presentation and sustainable tourism and extending stays and so on. Deborah, You are going to be our last question.
Well, it's not a question. It's more of an observation, and this might not be the right platform. But in terms of extending the season, of course, over winter, the Exmoor coaster bus ran through the whole of the winter. And I just think, is it something that we collectively need to be thinking about, communicating with Adventures by Bus and seeing whether we can extend that service to include more of Exmoor, and also making sure we keep that Exmoor coaster bus running 12 months of the year. It was hugely invaluable. So it was really an observation rather than a question, but just a little seed of an idea. Thank you.
I'll say here to that as well. I've had email exchanges with them in the last 2 days, and they've been through a few transitions, but it would be great to get them back involved. Unless there is anything else that is absolutely critical, I think we've reached the end of the agenda and the end of our time. And from my perspective, I'd like to thank everyone. I can't wait to actually get out and visit some of you myself and do what I promised to do when I took on this role, which is to come and walk a bit of the coast path and visit some of the businesses that I haven't had the chance to see for a very long time. And thank you for taking part. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for the team and my co-directors and all the support bodies. And at that point, I think we can draw this meeting to a close. Thank you from me.
Thank you, Robin.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.